Space, the final frontier.
Life is just a blink. It is one heartbeat in the entire lifespan of the universe.
Captain? Captain? Are you with us?
I plan to do a video just on Star Trek Discovery because I've got a lot I want to say about that show. Actually, I'll quickly show you here. So right here, I've got a bunch of my Discovery stuff there. Okay. To me, Discovery has been an incredible success for Star Trek. And I'll go into that in a video on what I'm talking about with that. For the fact that the Fandom Menace hate cult is still trying to kill the show 5 years later and haven't been able to do it, even though they've released like literally hundreds of videos to try to convince their dumb cult that it's a bad show, and it's still on the air, and Kurtzman is being fired every week, and it's just hilarious to me. The show just keeps on pushing their progressive and inclusive agenda, and the Fandom Menace just keeps on failing. I love it. I just absolutely love it. So here's my top 10 Discovery episodes over 3 seasons. Number 1 for me is a episode from last year that I just loved called Forget Me Not. It's the Trill episode with the new character. Loved it. It to me is a quintessential Discovery episode where it portrays its inclusive nature in such a beautiful and well done way. I just love that episode. Okay, number 2 for me was an episode called If Memory Serves from season 2. And it's the one where Pike goes back to Talos 4. Just love that episode. And what I love in that episode most of all is the scene where Pike and Vina have that conversation in Pike's quarters. The idea that the Talosians can project Vina in in Pike's quarters. And it's clear to me in that scene that Pike loves Vina. And it adds such a element to the menagerie, because basically the gist of what I got from that episode is that in the menagerie, when Pike is injured and he goes back to Vina, he's not settling for Vina. He wants to be with Vina. He wants Vina to be with him, but she can't be with him because of their circumstance. So the fact that he gets hurt and then they're together, he's going home. He's going home to the one he loves. I love that. That added an emotional element to Star Trek that wasn't in it prior to If Memory Serves, okay? So my third favorite Discovery episode is an episode called, it's a Harry Mudd episode, and I just love it. It's kind of a time loop type episode, but it's called Magic to Make the Sanest Man Go Mad from season 1. I absolutely love that episode, okay?
Leadership is about balance. Your acts of bravery are huge swings of the pendulum. And there is a very fine line between a pendulum and a wrecking ball.
Number 4 is Project DAEDALUS. That was an episode that was directed by Jonathan Frakes. I just love that episode. And it's the one where Michael Burnham has to shoot her friend into outer space through the airlock because her friend has been taken over by Control. I loved everything about that episode. When they're on the space station, just the whole situation. I thought it was so well done. Okay. My 5th favorite episode is from the 3rd season. It's called There Is a Tide. Okay. My 6th favorite episode is from season 2, and it's a very much a Pike episode and a Michael Burnham episode. And what I loved about the episode is Star Trek doesn't get into religion very often, but it did in this episode, and I loved the way it did it. So it establishes in the episode that Michael Burnham represents logic purely. Even though there's such a thing as Vulcan spiritualism, she doesn't believe in, like, you know, Jesus or God or something. So she takes the side of logic. And Pike says that he had a father that taught religion when he was a child. And he knows a lot about faith and so forth. And there's some really interesting interactions between Pike and Burnham, where they're discussing the possibility of a God. And I just thought it was just so well done. And I thought it was really respectful for Star Trek, especially because they haven't really done that in the past. But to be so upfront about Christianity in that kind of way, where they're really discussing it, and the whole idea of faith, I loved it. I thought it was such a great episode. It's called New Eden. Okay?
Jump. With so much at stake, countless lives, futures.
My number 7 episode from season 1, Context is for Kings. Love that episode. Number 8 is from season 3, and that would be Unification 3. Love that episode. Loved everything about it. I love that Michael Burnham sees that by her pushing her personal agenda to get this information about the burn, that it's going to disintegrate Vulcan and Romulan society, so she pulls back on her request. Love that. Okay. Number 9 for me was an episode from season 3 called Die Trying. Just love that episode, and that was the one with the seed ship. I love it where Michael Burnham takes control of the Discovery, and I'm hoping that's more of what we see this year with her as the captain. But when she takes control of the Discovery and she walks up to the front of the bridge and she gives them a 2-second little speech, and she says, black alert, and she takes complete control, and they're being watched by the Federation of the 32nd Century, so they have to be on their best behavior. And she calls up Dr. Culber, and he walks onto the bridge with his arms behind his back, and he's in complete control. Okay, what do you need? I just loved everything about it. It, to me, is what Discovery can be if it wants to be that. And I think in general, they haven't wanted to be that, right? Because that's not the type of show they are. Discovery is a more female-centric, inclusive, like there's not a lot of, you know, which drives the fandom in, it's just batshit crazy. But there's not a lot of white men, straight men on the show, right? But that episode, when she takes control of the ship, I found it to be very, very interesting. And again, I think it's a hint of what we may see in season 4. Okay, and then number 10 for me, it was an episode I just loved. It's from season 2, and it's called Brothers. I thought it was a terrific episode. And it's an episode with a lot of Pike in it. It's a good episode. And one thing about Pike, Anson Mount, holy crap. When they found this guy, they have found the quintessential Captain Christopher Pike. Anson Mount is incredible in this role. He was born to play this part, in my opinion. He conveys the humanity of Pike. He is the best of Starfleet. He is the best of the future world that Gene Roddenberry created. And it's on full display every time Pike is in a scene. Anson Mount just nailed, and I'm so looking forward to Strange New Worlds. Actually, the thing that I mean, with this whole thing with me and being sick and stuff, and I know this sounds ridiculous, but one of the first things I thought of when I was given my prognosis, it was like, oh shit, I'm never gonna see Strange New Worlds, because it sounds like this show isn't gonna be out for another year. And I don't know if I'm gonna be, I hope I am, but obviously, but that to me was like just a slap in the face. I'm probably not going to see the show, because I think the show is going to just nail it. I think it's going to be so good. Like, and what I think is interesting, something that Discovery never gets credit for, but they did the heavy lifting to create this entire new Trek universe. You really think about it. Discovery did what Roddenberry did with Star Trek the Motion Picture. They modernized the TOS timeline. So they basically rebooted and modernized the TOS timeline for a modern audience. It's a complete visual reboot. And they did the heavy lifting because a lot of the fans were upset about it. But now Strange New Worlds can just slide into that universe. They don't have to explain anything. They don't have to make anything different. They can just literally take the aesthetics of Discovery and step into. So they modernize the TOS timeline for a modern audience. With everything, the sets, the ships, they basically made it cinematic. And I know a lot of people think, well, you could have just done the original TOS timeline. No, sorry, you couldn't. There's no way. You cannot do that. The original series was made with cardboard sets in the 1960s. A modern audience, my teenage boys right now would not accept that as a modern TV show. They simply wouldn't. So those people that argue that you somehow could have done that, I don't believe you could have. So Discovery, I thought, did a really good job of doing that, laying that foundation so that Strange New Worlds can just step in. They also introduced the Enterprise. They introduced Pike. They introduced Peck as Spock. They introduced Number One. They did all the heavy lifting for Strange New Worlds to just slide right in. Okay, so anyways, that is my top 10 of Discovery. All right.
Wherever we come from, whatever our experiences, you got this. We're all in this together.